I think the reason it's a good question is, does the world need another foundation? Absolutely not. For a long time, I resisted starting something like this because I felt there were too many. In the end, though, I felt that we had something to offer, because VOTO is sort of the confluence of Sweden's leading underwater documentary film company and one of the world's leading oceanic research companies, MMT. And so we had a platform. And we also, I mean, Ola and I, we've been talking about this, although we haven't named it, but we've been talking about this for what, 20 years?
Maybe.
Something like that?
Maybe 20 years.
Our curiosity about the sea, which I think is the basis. It's about curiosity. It's about not solving, but increasing the knowledge of the ocean and the interest in the ocean.
But it's also it's by using the experiences from working with robust equipment offshore and being able to offer that to scientists, because seeing how science people use their infrastructure is rather frustrating. It's costly, it's ineffective, and it's usually not geared towards what you would use in the commercial field. And to be able to use all that experience and move into the science field and actually get enough data to answer the questions that's been buggering us all the time, I think that is a huge satisfying option that we got by starting a foundation.
The more recent start of our discussion, I mean, we've been talking about, mapping the ocean in order to do basic research. We've been talking about emptying the Baltic of water, but our discussion started when I said, why don't we deploy a bunch of buoys?
Yeah.
And you're like, that's so 1900s. Nowadays we use autonomous vehicles.
I said that because I've heard about them like 2 times.
And now they're sitting over there.
No, they're sitting over there, but
so it only took 2 years. So that there's several sort of bases of, but also I've felt for a long time, this is about science. I've felt for a long time that because of the way the system is set up for scientists, they formulate a question. They gather the data for that question, and then that's enough. Well, we try to take a much larger picture. What data do we need to collect today so that we can answer questions in 10 years? So the data, my hope is that the data that we collect today is too much. There's too much data to be processed today. There's no way to I hope that we will. But in 10 years, it might prove useful. It might help. It hopefully will help answer some of the big questions about the oceans, which are some of the big questions about Earth. So it's about filling in the X's in the equation that explains the system that is an ocean, or a part of an ocean, or a smaller system.
For me, it's also an interesting change, because when I was a kid, the ocean was endless. You could put whatever you wanted into it, and there was no way we could ever disturb the oceans. And I've seen during my lifetime that indeed disturb the oceans. The oceans change. If you dive now, it's not the same as diving in the 70s or 60s. And if we can change it that way, we can change it back. But then we need answers. So I tried to be a marine scientist, but I gave up on that, because I realized every time we ask a question, and we do a lot of research, spend a lot of money, and come back and say, I need to do more research. Doesn't work. We need more data. Yeah. And so this is an opportunity, the best of times. We have all the equipment, we can get all the data at the marginal cost from what it was before, and really make a change. So that was an easy choice. And then I was old enough to stop my day work.
Also, I mean, my diving for now 30 years in the Baltic, I've seen the change in the ocean, and it's not a positive one, just to be clear. And there are also phenomena in the ocean, in the Baltic, that our dive group, we discuss them all the time, visibility, because we want visibility in order to take pictures, in order to film. How do we predict it? How do we know that it's good? There's good visibility on a shipwreck. So there's so many questions that we have, and then when we talk to the scientists, we get, well, it can be this, but we need more data. So this is also a response to experiencing the ocean. I mean, seeing the green sludge on the surface when we have the worst of days with the algae bloom. That certainly I don't remember from when I grew up and when we went sailing around Gotland, for example. So there's a personal curiosity, and then there's a greater curiosity, and so there.
But there is also a selfish part of it. I've been obsessed by have high resolution maps of the seafloor.
Yeah.
I haven't been really interested in the water mass.
Yeah.
But suddenly when you start thinking how is it all connected,
Yes.
and you get the possibility at this time in your life actually to look into something totally new that you had no idea about, and have all these fantastic tools, and being able to give back to science and where I come from in a way that is much better than if I spent my life competing in the science world. Many of the great discoveries in underwater has been done by the oil industry and the gas industry because they have the money to do environmental research, but it's not communicated well with the science world. So to find that bridge would also make, I mean, the amount of data we have from commercial work that we could make use in the science world. Just, we have 40 years of sound velocities twice a day in the Baltic, basically. Come on, that's one of the biggest oceanographic data recorded in the world. So yeah, it was kind of natural with the new perspective,
but we're
by
also
age,
we're
to do
also
this.
we're also naive in the way that we believe in knowledge.
Yeah,
We believe that knowledge will solve things. So another one of the bases of VOTO is through knowledge, both among the greater public, but also among those that make decisions. With more knowledge, the decisions will be wiser, more sustainable, perhaps, or something like that. They will be better. You know, then you can measure what is better. But with more knowledge, everything will be better. It's a naive belief, but it's something that we very much cling to. I think.
but we only talked about the technology and the science part, but another part of Voice of the Ocean is an outreach to take this data through science out to the public, to actually make people better decisions, better choices, and actually work together with the greater society, not just keep it in a small
But
science
the purpose
community.
is knowledge, it's not propaganda.
I know, this is a fine line.
It's a very fine line, but it's an important line because I don't like propaganda. Propaganda for me is Leni Riefenstahl and
really
Stalin
good.
and Hitler and those guys. It's important to be that it's information. It could be a question because we don't know. This is a question, and encourage everybody, go forth and solve this. We don't know. Do you have a guess? Ask a question. Smart questions generally generate good answers.
But we haven't still yet put the right questions. We need help with the questions.
Absolutely, and we will always.
Yes.
And I think the only way is through open discussion of what are the factors.
So their outreach again. We need to reach out
Yes.
to get the questions back so we can actually direct our fantastic machinery into collecting the right data for these questions.
Yeah. So we're still, and we will forever collect questions and see, okay, is this something that somebody else is doing? Okay, well, then let them do it. Or is this a question where there's a gap? That's where we need to get in, and I think anyway.
So it's more curiosity than do-gooding?
Absolutely.